Hello and welcome back. I'm excited. Today we are back in the TBA room. In my last video, I climbed through the new set and had a couple of climbs I wanted to come back to and try and finish up. So we're going to be doing more of a projecting day today. If you watched my last video, you know that I mentioned that I felt like I was climbing a little bit hesitantly, a little bit more cautious than I want to be in this type of dynamic style. So for my warm-up today, I'm going to be really intentional about trying to be a little bit more flowy, a little bit more dynamic, and not so hesitant as I warm up for these boulders. I'm just starting here on the red tags, on the more vertical angles, just to get moving, get the big muscles warmed up. I like to choose an intention for my warm-ups, and sometimes these are specific to the session I'm about to have, and sometimes they're not so specific, but I do think it's good to have some sort of intention just to bring some focus to my body and my movement, and it helps just get me mentally prepped for the session. And today my intention is specific to the session I'm going to have. If you watched my last video, you know that the climbs I'm going to be getting on are more straightforward, powerful, dynamic, and committed style of climbing. And so what I'm really focusing on for my warm-up is getting some flowing movement going and trying not to climb with too much hesitation or caution. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to mean that I'm climbing super fast. More so, my goal with the movement is to not stop moving. So whether I'm moving a hand or moving a foot, the idea is to not stop. After a few red tags, I've moved on to green tags, and I've also moved to a steeper wall. This is the 50-degree wall, and they actually reset this wall, so these climbs are all new for me, which is a good additional mental warm-up to make sure that I'm attempting to keep this flowing style of climbing on new climbs, so trying to make decisions quickly, trying not to hesitate. I'm going to finish my warm-up out here on the new white tags. There are 3 of them before heading into the TBA room where I'll do the rest of my session. As with any new climbs, I always try and flash, so I'm being really intentional with my efforts and with each of my attempts. Alright, we are back in the TBA room. As you can see, they filled in some climbs since the last time I was in here. So I'm going to continue my warm-up by doing some of the new climbs in the style of my projects. happy with how my warm-up is going. I feel like I can already tell the difference in how I'm moving versus my previous session in here. I definitely am moving quicker, making those decisions more confidently. So I'm excited to return to some of these climbs that I had trouble with last time. And climbing in the TBA room is definitely something that's really beneficial for me because I tend towards a more static, controlled style. I actually lived in Colorado for about 6 years before moving here to Chattanooga, and that was definitely the style of the granite there. A lot of tension, cramps, and so when I moved here, it was nice to have this gym here to help me adjust to the southern sandstone style. The first climb I want to get back on today is this Blue Holds Yellow Tag. I actually came back in here the other day to figure out some beta and ended up falling on the last move. So I'm hoping that I can put it all together today. All right, just fell on the last move of that climb. That was definitely pretty energy intensive, but I feel like I climbed it well. Almost got it, but not quite. So I'm going to take a pretty good rest. But definitely during these projecting sessions, taking long rests is important that you can really be giving quality efforts to the climbs that you're trying. So I'm going to rest probably closer to 5 minutes so that I'm fresh to give it another good burn. When timing your rest for a hard bouldering session like this one, it's important to keep the goal of the session in mind, which is to train strength and power on these higher intensity, shorter climbs. So this also means that you need to be taking long rests in between, because not resting enough means that you're not going to be able to reach that same intensity, and it's going to change the energy system that you're working. So a good amount of time to rest in between goes is going to be anywhere from 3 minutes all the way to 15-minute long rests. Okay, fell on the last move again. I actually think I felt a little more tired on that try going to the last move. So I'm going to take an even longer break this time, and I think I'm just going to try it one more time so that I can try some other climbs as well. The exact amount of time that you're going to rest is going to depend on a couple of things. The first being how long you were actually on the wall for. So if you're just trying a really hard move and you're only on the wall for a couple of seconds, you will only need to rest that 3 to 5 minutes in between, versus a climb like what I'm trying right now where I'm getting to the top, I'm almost finishing it, and I'm on the wall for a decent amount of time is going to require a longer rest. So I'm resting closer to 10 plus minutes in between my goes on this boulder. There are also individual differences for how long you might want to rest, so it might take a little bit of experimentation to figure out your ideal rest time. Definitely felt the most tired on that try. Yeah, I don't think I'm making any more progress on this one today, so I'm going to move on. This is a good example of one where I'm pretty happy with my beta. I don't really see any adjustments that I can make, just maybe a little bit more energy. Yeah, I'm gonna move on and try something different. The next climb I'm going to try is this blue tag with the small pink holds, and when choosing the climbs that I get on during a session, I do like to get some variety in there. So this one's definitely very different from the climb I just tried. These are smaller holds, smaller moves, really finger intensive, while the last one was big holds, big moves, and more power intensive. I'm climbing into the top half of the boulder to figure out my beta. I do want to mention that I actually helped forerun this boulder when they were setting it, so I have had a session on it just to let you know why my beta is coming together pretty quickly. I'm psyched to have finished that pink crimp boulder, so we're switching styles again. Next, I want to try this green sloper boulder that I had tried during my volume session, and I wasn't able to figure out this big cross move, so today I'm hoping to work through that. During my last session, I tried a few different foot combinations for this move, so here's some videos to remind you of what I did try. First, I'm going to pull past the move that I was struggling with to try the rest of the climb, since I didn't have a chance to do that last time, and just make sure that I've correctly identified the crux. What I originally saw from reading the climb was that it seemed like that move was a stand-out move, and so I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything and that I'm comfortable with the rest of the climb if I were to stick that move. I'm happy with how the rest of the climb feels, so I'm going to return to this crux move, and for my first try, I'm going to use what I think are the intended feet and go from there. When finding a solution to hard moves, there are two key points that I always try to identify. The first being what actually happened, why did I fall, what is physically happening in that moment, and then I also like to identify what I call the movement crux, what is the underlying issue that caused me to fall. In this case, for that first key point, what is actually physically happening in the moment, we can see that it's my left foot that is coming off first. And for the second point, what is the movement crux? Why is it an issue that my left foot is coming off? It's because I'm experiencing a barn door effect. I'm rotating off of that hold. What these two pieces of information are telling me is that I need to create opposition in order to resist that barn door rotation, and I need to keep tension through the left side of my body. So clearly the current left foot that I'm using is too low for me to keep tension, so I need to find a different solution to this problem. My next idea that I tried here was a high left heel hook to create that opposition, but I quickly decided I wasn't able to get enough purchase on that. So then I tried this high left foot with an open hip, but also was not able to maintain tension there. For this next try, I went back to some beta that I tried during the first session, which is a high left foot again, but in a drop knee position. And this time I naturally came in to match my right hand and got pretty close on this attempt. So I'm going to stick with this beta. I was curious, and you might be wondering yourself why this beta worked during this session and not in the previous session. And the biggest difference is that I came in and matched that right hand. If we take a look frame by frame through the video comparison, we can see that I was able to get slightly higher up in my body positioning when I matched my right hand, and ultimately was able to get better purchase on the big sloper and stick the move. The last climb I'm going to get on today is this yellow holds yellow tag that I tried last time. The previous climbs definitely went a little bit quicker than I was expecting, and I do want to talk a little bit more about what constitutes a true project in the future, but for now we'll focus on this yellow holds climb from last time. I'm psyched to have stuck the big dynamic move in the beginning of the climb that I was having trouble with last time. Now I need to figure out this cruxy section in the middle. So we're going to go through the same process as with the previous climb, identifying those two key points of what is physically happening and what is the movement crux behind that. So what's physically happening here is as I try to match this final crimp over the lip, I'm just too extended to get my hand up there. And the movement crux of this is that I'm holding so much tension through my feet that as soon as I let go of one of my feet, either the left foot or the right toe hook, I'm coming off of the wall. So the problem that I'm trying to work around is to move my feet or release that tension before I get in such an extended position. So here I'm keeping my hands lower and I'm trying to figure out a way to move the right toe hook up. I'm trying a higher left foot, but it all feels pretty hard. Here I'm continuing to play with the idea of building my feet up first, and I'm trying a different hand sequence, so going right hand to the middle crimp, and then here I try and get that left foot, decide it doesn't feel good, try and get the higher right toe hook, and it feels okay, but again, as soon as my left foot comes off, I'm off the wall. I'm trying this method one more time because the higher right toe hook does feel pretty solid, but still just running into that same problem of holding too much tension and still just feeling too extended. So I'm going to switch gears here and try a different method, but still trying to solve that same movement crux of holding too much tension. Rather than trying to slowly release the tension and keep it in control before moving my hands up, I decided to try and instead utilize the momentum of releasing the tension to move upwards. It seems like this method could work, even though it will definitely be very coordinated and very challenging, but I feel pretty tired now and like I've exhausted my brain and the solutions that I can come up with right now. So I'm just going to make sure I can do the very last move, and then I'll have to come back to this one in the future. Got a little busy, so we'll sign off here, but thanks so much for following me with my session. Definitely an interesting one, just going back and revisiting the climbs I had tried previously. Some of them went down a little quicker than I was expecting, but I guess it makes sense given that last session was a volume session, so I might have been a little bit more tired going into those climbs. So I was happy to finish off a few new climbs and then make a little bit of progress on that yellow climb. I'm excited to try it again when I am more fresh and try that coordination style move. And there are a handful of more blue tags I'd also like to go back to. So lots of climbing to do. So I will see you next time, and thanks for watching.